Now, of course, Danny Ings had his sort of a breakout season last season for him, but it kind of feels like we've been here before because he's had that with Burnley. Even at the start of his time at Liverpool for the first couple of weeks has been pretty decent as well. I mean, how can he avoid that this season, Kevin?
I just think he's more experienced now. He's older. I think he's playing in a side that will create opportunities. We saw that today. But I think, as you get that older, your composure gets better. I think just playing week in and week out, his confidence is very high. Of course, getting an England call up as well. So he'll be flying high. Naturally, be very disappointed today. But like Gary said, he'll be sitting in that dressing room thinking, well, I've done my job today. I can go home, hold my head high. I've scored 2 goals. I'm off and running in the Premier League, and I'm continuing to play well like I finished the end of last season. I don't expect Danny Ings to drop off. I see him continuing to score goals from now to the end of the season because he just puts himself in the right positions. His energy, he's a player that can come short, turn and run at defenders and get a shot. We saw it in the first half that baffled me when he drove at the back four of Tottenham. He tried to pass it instead of shooting, which surprised me. But he scores all types of goals, just like Son. So, yeah, he's a huge, important player for Southampton.
But his dip in form in his so-called second season syndrome for him after a breakout season is usually due to his injuries. That's the thing. How is he going to avoid that?
Well, I think he was sorry, Kevin. He was desperately unlucky at Liverpool, wasn't he?
Yeah.
He was really unlucky because he sustained a bad knee injury, and having got over that after several months, within no time at all, he sustained another one as well. And I think the fact that Liverpool had signed him tells you the calibre of the player. And the only reason he's left Liverpool is subsequent to him going there and his injuries. Liverpool have progressed and other players have been signed and they've done extremely well. And all of a sudden, his opportunities there weren't going to be too often. And I think, and I don't know what you think yourself, Kevin, but I think he's the type of player who wants to play games. So, if he were to leave Southampton, and we've touched on the speculation about Danny Ings and maybe a move, and the fact that Spurs apparently are interested in him, I'm not sure that he would command a regular place in that Spurs side, Kevin. So therefore, I think he would prefer almost to stay at Southampton.
But and that's what I was saying earlier. Yeah, sorry, that's what I was saying earlier ago. If I'm in Danny Ings' position now after the season I've just had, why would you? And the start he's had personally, well, I wouldn't want to go somewhere and just sit on the bench and maybe play a bit part. At his stage of his career now, after the injuries, he's playing catch-up. I'd want to be playing week in and week out and scoring goals. And at Southampton, you're guaranteed to play. You're almost at the minute guaranteed to get a Danny Ings goal week in and week out. So I'd certainly be looking to stay where I am.
So you were mentioning, Gary, how obviously his Liverpool career was plagued by injuries there. Do you think if he successfully avoided those injuries, he'll still be a Liverpool player today, Gary?
Yeah, well, they signed him presumably for the medium-long term. So the answer to your question is, yeah, I definitely think so. I think Danny Ings has, or had the potential at the time and has the quality to play at that level. Speculation about him because there are bigger and better clubs, or perceived bigger and better clubs, interested in taking Danny Ings because of his ability and his goal scoring record. Reference last season at Southampton, was right up there with the top goal scorers throughout the Premier League.
He is right up there with the top goal scorers, but I just want to mention what Darren Bent actually said, because he brought this up. He said he's only got 22 minutes in 2 games from Gareth Southgate in the recent Nation Leagues matches. Despite us talking about his abilities, his international appearances don't really reflect that, Kevin.
Well, but he's competing against Harry Kane, isn't he? He's... All Danny Ings can do, his England career will take care of itself if he continues to score goals for Southampton week in and week out. He knows he will get an opportunity. But unfortunately, when you're competing against Harry Kane, who showed the form today, is why, he's our #1 striker and will be for a long time, barring injuries. It's tough. I had a similar situation when I was in and around the England squad. I was competing with Alan Shearer, Michael Owen, Robbie Fowler, Teddy Sheringham. All these top players. And, at the time I was top goal scorer in the Premier League and I couldn't get a start. So all you can do is just concentrate on your club football, keep producing the goods week in and week out, and hope you get an opportunity. And when it does come, you take it. So, unfortunately, you've got one of the world's best in front of him, and it's just going to have to be a bit patient.
What was going through your mind at that point? I mean, obviously you want to get your appearance for England, and you have Alan Shearer of all people ahead of you. I mean, what was happening in your head, Kevin?
Well, you just sometimes you accept that this guy is better. Well, I would say a better player, but he's obviously scoring goals regularly in the Premier League. So what you do is you like I said, you just keep your head down. Whenever you join up, you try and train it as hard as you can, as good as you can, and when you get your opportunity, you have to take it. But the big thing for me is you've got to perform week in and week out for your club. And then you can't be ignored. Of course, he'll probably be in the squads, a lot of squads over the next few months. Will he get an opportunity? I wouldn't have thought so. If Kane's fit, he might come on for the odd minute, and if he does, then he's got to take that opportunity. But the big thing is just performing for his club week in and week out.
But Harry Kane didn't look the fittest that he could be. He looked a bit tired during the international games. Yeah. But Gareth Southgate just didn't want to sub him off, didn't want to take Harry Kane out of the team, clearly because he has major contributions. But Gary, what were your thoughts on that?
Well, I think it's quite difficult at times, this club v country situation. And I think all players want to play for their country. So when you're with your national squad, even if you are a bit jaded, even if your club manager doesn't really want you to play, you still want to get out there because you want to, get yourself another cap. You want to turn in a performance. You want to represent your country. You want to score a goal. But your bread and butter is your club form. That's where you play most of your games. And the international stuff, certainly in my day, and I think it still is the case, that's the bonus, that's the kind of the cherry on top of the icing on top of the cake, in my opinion. It's right up at the top. But what should Gareth Southgate do? His job is to produce a winning England team that ultimately wins an international tournament. And to do that, he has to pick the players and shuffle the squad and play the games to get the results, to get the progress. And of course, he has to show some respect for the clubs and the players, but, that's his job. And then when you're a club manager, which, Gareth Southgate has been in the past and will almost certainly be again in the future, then suddenly your priority isn't the international, it's your club. So, there is a conflict of interest. I look back to my playing days and, unfortunately, I didn't play enough times for England, in my opinion, and I would love to have played more. But there was nothing ever going to stop me going to be in an England squad. If I felt tired or jaded after a club game at Spurs, I was still going to join up with that England team because it was such a great honour to have been selected.